I have the great pleasure of being with Ilkka today, and this is a gentleman who I have been at a distance following and knowing for at a distance for a very long time, and it's a pleasure to be with you, my friend. How are you?
Thanks. Yes, I'm fine. And greetings from Eastern Finland. I'm
Wonderful.
living here in remote countryside. Have been here for about 10 years. And yes, it has been a pleasure to have every now and then, changing ideas with you. So, yes.
Thank you so much, my friend. I would love for you to tell us more about yourself and begin to kind of really share sort of what you're seeing and what you're experiencing and guide us through your eyes a little bit.
I think it would be great if I can describe shortly my thinking about how it has evolved in 15 years, because when I started as a science park manager in Joensuu in Finland 2004, we were kind of trying to create new kinds of working environments, and we were actually pioneers in co-working spaces, building and launching co-working spaces. So our first co-working space in Joensuu Science Park was launched 2004. Nobody was talking about co-working at that time. And during that conceptual planning, we had several meetings with experts in Finland and also from other European countries, and we came to this kind of new way of work thinking 2004, 2005. And co-working space was one of the kind of results or outcomes. We designed it and we launched one in our premises. But also at that time I was starting to getting interested about serendipity, because one elder expert in our team said that, do you know what we are talking here about? We are talking about how to facilitate serendipity. So since 2004, 2005, I've been interested in this and also been studying and researching. I still have my PhD not finished yet because of other interesting projects. But anyway, so the serendipity was the thing I thought that to increase the unexpected encounters between a diversity of people, that would create boost for creativity and innovation and that kind of thing. And we started to advocate that message through International Association of Science Parks and World Technopolis Association and UNESCO. So I have been lecturing in many of the events and making papers and articles and such like. And now quite a lot of people are talking about serendipity, and serendipity research has sort of emerged more and more. At that time, 2004, 2005, nobody really talked about serendipity. But since my career has evolved and my consultancy has evolved, I have nowadays coming more to see as serendipity as one cornerstone only for what I call vocability. And vocability is my notion for ability to prosper in VUCA conditions, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous conditions. And this is really interesting now because what happened now, as we all know, with the corona thing. And I have been advocating post-normal era, maybe like 5 years already. I don't know when you remember, we met maybe first time 5 years ago. Yeah. We discussed about emergent post-normal era. Now we can see that this post-normal era really is here, or at least coming totally. And so vocability is kind of this kind of attitude or mindset or organizational behavior or community behavior where we could together and individually be better prepared for unexpected things. So you see the close relation between serendipity, which is in a way the ability to benefit from surprises. That's the easiest sort of short notion of serendipity, the ability to benefit from surprises. And then if VUCA-ability is the ability to prosper in VUCA conditions, you see the relation pretty nicely there. So this is my work in the last few months' time, and it's really interesting to put it all together, because as I see the situation now with VUCA-ability, understanding serendipity and respecting serendipity is one cornerstone. The other cornerstone is advance your platform thinking and your usage of different kind of platforms. We call, platform economy is a big thing, but I don't mean with this kind of platforms like Uber or Amazon or whatever. I mean more about this kind of theme formation and idea elaboration platforms, which I call competence platforms. So they are the essential part of how to improve your VUCA-ability, that you can make use of these kind of competence platforms where you can be sure that a team building process is effective, but it also has this serendipitous aspect in it. So to mixing these unexpected team formations with those, and even I was here in Finland in a steering group of one very interesting research project where we were kind of applying artificial intelligence in this kind of tools and team formation processes. So it's in a very, very early stages, but very interesting topic as well. And then the third cornerstone, in my understanding, for increasing your VUCA-ability is the importance of the ecosystem where you belong to. So it's very important that you belong to those ecosystems which can support you and give you guidance and, in different things. And I think one thing here very important is that you have to understand today that the flow of information is decisive. Before, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the most important was the database, or what I call stock of information. And then you were searching for that kind of information or knowledge. But nowadays, it's flowing through your systems, your social media, and you have kind of filters there. And if you have a great Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn audience or your friends, so to call, then you can guarantee that you will be on top of that information so that it's filtered also already. So ecosystem can do this very well for you. And of course, this kind of support for your ideas and further elaborate your ideas and so on. So these are the three cornerstones. What do you think about this?
Ilkka, it's extremely congruent with my experience and the direction that we're headed. And I've often referred to, in the way that you've described it, very, very deliberately, if you will. I've often referred to it as an ecosystem enterprise, because it blends, if you will, it blends the aspects of being in an ecosystem, having a platform, really leveraging serendipity as a foundation to achieve that VUCA-ability. So and this is why, quite honestly, you and I have stayed connected for so long. There's a lot of congruence in how we're experiencing the world. The question I have, if you don't mind me asking it this way, as you look at the landscape, right, in terms of communities, people, organizations, society at large, what to achieve this, to get closer to being in what you've described, what recommendations and what guidance can you offer people and the world and leaders across the world?
I think one way to think about this, that we have such kind of global wicked problems which can be described like sustainable development goals, as we know. And They are very complex and very difficult to solve by one ecosystem only, or one organization only, or one nation only. And the latest idea for this kind of, I think we should, as a community, you know, you and I and people, like-minded people, should really try to drive an idea that we could start to create what I call meta ecosystems around these SDGs. So like SDG 14, life below water, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have an idea, I have good connections in Seychelles, and they are really professionals and very dependent on this. So they have a high interest in developing a meta ecosystem around this. It means that we could somehow attract those experts to this kind of platform, I mean competence platform, or combination of different platforms like Zoom, of course, and tools, where we could globally really attract those people who are motivated and also talented to try to solve some parts of this huge SDG. So I think that we should try to drive for creating meta ecosystems around these SDGs. It might sound a bit far away, but taking into account the new technologies and the post-corona attitude for many people, you know, this community building type thing, remote working, this kind of Zoom conversations are everyday business now. I think it would be possible and viable to create such a meta ecosystem pretty soon if we have some drivers and you know, this kind of, so that might be like a high ambition level goal for myself, and why not to our community as well.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the way you're describing it, because really in many ways COVID now has become the catalyst to accelerate us moving in this direction at this juncture, and we have the technologies and we have the ability to do that. And very openly, there have been a number of people, very much like you just described, that have said, you know, where is this going? Is this a community that's manifesting? And there are multiple ecosystems. So the meta ecosystem viewpoint is extremely powerful to bring a lot of it together, Ilkka.
And I think the SDG discussion around SDGs are still more on the general level. We don't have that kind of initiatives that, okay, we are going to try to solve SDG 14, for instance.
Yep.
So I would like to see this kind of, and even piloting with one of these SDGs. Like I mentioned 14, I would be interested in somehow trying to do that, but could be also something else. But 14 might be, how would I say, simple enough, although it's also complex, but simple enough. If we talk about energy or hunger and these kind of big issues as well, it might be even more difficult. So something like that might be really interesting to see in upcoming years.
Definitely. My friend, you have always been at the forefront of a lot of emerging things, and you remain at the forefront. Any sort of last words before we sign off on this conversation?
Well, I would like to see this kind of new type of really global communities emerge. So, and because now so many people are so used to use these tools, and of course we need this kind of face-to-face, like I call them oases. So later on we could have like our own base somewhere, you know, like in Seychelles, for instance. Whenever these travel restrictions will, you know, allow, we could have like 4 weeks sort of camp there also together, because this kind of where you mix up the social life with your business when you are away from your home, that could really build up the trust between the core members of the community. And that's what is needed as well. So I would like to see this kind of community start to emerge via these digital tools. But as soon as we get something really concrete to start with, building up the physical contact as well, the physical base somewhere in this globe. So that would be my dream in 2 years' time.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I'm really I'm disappointed that you're unable to join us on the 19th, because I know that was where our initial conversation, and it would have been fantastic. But I'm optimistic that we'll be doing more together, and exactly as you're saying, you know, the opportunities for doing what needs to be done in a multitude of facets is more present than not present. So I want to thank you as always, my good friend. Always a pleasure, and I look forward to the future together.
Thank you, C, and all the best greetings to all for next Friday.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.